Okay, so you're here to get smart, fast, right on stuff that matters.
Yeah.
And, well, this is it. We're diving deep this time into Canadian trade.
Yeah.
Big potential shift happening.
Huge.
Prime Minister Carney. And what he's trying to do with these internal trade barriers, breaking them down.
Yeah.
And it comes right after those meetings he had with all the premiers and, with this whole thing of more U.S. tariffs maybe coming down the line. It's
Looming. Yeah.
it's a big deal.
Big time.
So our mission today is to get you, like, the core of what's going on and why this could be a real game changer.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I guess, like, the place we have to start is with what's already happened, right?
Yeah.
Like, with the U.S. and these tariffs.
The backdrop's critical to understand this whole thing,
Okay.
right? So those U.S. tariffs, we're talking steel, aluminum, they've been in place since March.
Yeah.
And that's already a worry in itself. But then you add on top of that the possibility of
Right.
even more tariffs hitting in April. And then you look at how closely Canada's economy is tied to the U.S. Like 3/4 of our exports are going south of the border.
It's huge.
It's massive. And then you flip it around, 1/3 of our imports, they're coming from the U.S. So we are seriously exposed when these trade spats erupt.
Yeah. So basically, Carney is saying, okay, let's look inward then.
Exactly.
Let's take care of our own business.
Strengthen ourselves.
He's even promising legislation by July 1st
Whoa.
to allow goods to just flow freely across Canada, no federal hurdles.
That's a big promise.
And here's the kicker. He's arguing that, like, knocking down these internal barriers
these internal walls.
could actually more than make up
Well, and then compensate.
for any damage from those U.S. tariffs.
That's the big idea.
So that's a bold statement. So now I got to ask, like,
How's he going to do it?
yeah, how big are we talking here?
Well, that's where it gets really interesting, right? The scale of what he's suggesting
Yeah.
is massive. There's research out there that he's citing that suggests if we dismantle all these barriers within Canada, trade costs could plummet. Like we're talking up to 15%.
Wow.
And the potential boost to our economy,
Yeah.
somewhere between 4 and 8%.
That's huge.
That's a huge lift for the entire country. Think about what that could mean for everyone.
So, okay, how, though?
Right to the nuts and bolts.
Yeah, what are the actual, like,
Mechanism.
mechanisms, the tools that he's going to use to make this happen?
So he's laid out 3 main paths to get there.
Okay.
First one, getting all the provinces and territories on the same page with their regulations, like harmonizing everything.
Okay, so, like, everybody's playing by the same rules.
Exactly, a level playing field.
Wow.
The second path is mutual recognition of provincial rules. So basically, if it's okay to do something in one province, it's automatically okay everywhere else.
So it's like a one-for-all kind of thing.
Exactly. It cuts down on so much red tape. And then the third path is creating national standards that everyone has to meet across the board.
So it's like a combination of, everybody agrees on the same rules, but then also in some cases just recognizing that what works in one place should work everywhere.
Exactly. It's about making it easier to do business across the entire country.
Well, and I mean, businesses have been complaining for years about this, right?
Oh, yeah. It's been a major headache for them.
Having to deal with different rules in every province.
Navigating that patchwork is a nightmare.
So this sounds like it's directly addressing those frustrations. And I'm thinking specifically about, like, those really big projects, the mines, the pipelines that often get stuck in these, like, crazy permitting delays.
Absolutely. Those projects can be bogged down for years sometimes.
So it's about speed, too.
Efficiency is key if we want to be competitive.
And it's not just about the stuff, right? It's not just about goods flowing across borders. It's about people, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because the plan includes removing those barriers that prevent people from working in different provinces.
Labor mobility, that's a huge factor.
Yeah, and that could have a real impact on a lot of different industries.
Absolutely. Think about healthcare, education, all sorts of sectors.
And they're also talking about this one-window approval process for infrastructure projects.
That's a big one, streamlining the whole system.
Yeah, because right now you've got federal and provincial environmental reviews that often overlap, and it's just
creates a bottleneck.
Yeah, it's a mess. So trying to simplify all that.
Make it more transparent, more efficient.
So it's not just about breaking down barriers. It's also about building the infrastructure to support.
Yeah, gotta have the roads, the rails, the pipelines to make it all work.
Now what about those people who might get hit hard in the short term by these U.S. tariffs? I'm talking about workers and businesses.
Yeah, that's a real concern.
So what's being done to help them?
Well, there's a recognition that there could be some immediate pain. So the proposals include making it easier for laid-off workers to access employment insurance.
Okay, so like kind of a safety net there?
Exactly, help them bridge the gap. And then for businesses, they're looking at letting them defer corporate income tax payments.
Oh, okay, so it's about cash flow.
Exactly, giving them some breathing room to adjust.
Now, we do have to mention the political side of all this.
Of course.
Because Carney, he's pretty new in the job, right?
Still finding his feet.
And there's all this talk of an election coming up in April.
Lots of speculation.
So that adds a whole other layer to this.
Absolutely. And then you factor in that he hasn't actually spoken directly with President Trump yet about all this.
Yeah, like how's that going to play out?
Big question mark.
So we've got this big picture, emerging Canada's facing potential trade trouble from the U.S.
A challenging situation.
And Carney's response is to turn inward focus on strengthening our own domestic market by getting rid of these internal trade barriers that have been around for so long.
A bold move, for sure.
And it's a huge story that's going to have ripple effects across the entire country.
Absolutely. It'll be fascinating to see how it all unfolds.
Yeah, and it leaves us with a lot to think about.
It certainly does.
Like, what are the biggest hurdles to actually making this happen?
Yeah. Achieving true free trade within Canada. What are the roadblocks?
And then how will this actually play out in different industries and for everyday people like us?
Yeah, what are the practical implications for individuals and for specific sectors?
This is a really bold plan, so it all comes down to how it's implemented. That's the real test.
Implementation is everything.
Well said.
Thanks.
This has been a fascinating deep dive.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed this.
Me too. Thanks for joining us.
Anytime.
And all of you listening out there, keep thinking, keep learning, and we'll see you in the next deep dive.
See